Yes, so there's a lot of truth to be told, a lot of questions to be asked. Where have I been? Where's the sister tag? Where's this channel going? The truth about law school. A lot of stuff to get through in this video. So call your family, call your friends, put it on TV, tell them Gas session is now in motion. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, so the questions: where's the sister tag? Where is this channel going? And essentially the truth about law school. A lot of things to cover in this video, but I'll get through the first two really quickly, and then we can move on to what this video is actually about. So where is the sister tag? Luckily, I did take a video so that I'd be able to explain to you guys what happened, why, when, how the sister tag did not happen, and here's a video explaining that. Okay, so tell them why we're not doing the sister tag anymore.
Because I'm out.
Because she's leaving, and I'm only gonna see her in
December.
in December. You look so cute. She's going for a church camp. Popo left, and then I was here. I was in Zim, enjoying my holiday. Unfortunately, by the time she came back, I had already left for the Netherlands for school. And I know we asked you for your likes, we asked you for your support. You gave it to us, and then we didn't. So please do look out for a video, hopefully this coming December, when I will be with my sisters on vacation, and hopefully we will have time to do the sister tag. Moving on, where is this channel going? As my good friend Ellen would sing, we are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we will get there. So, I don't travel all the time, and I understand that the expectation for this channel is that it is predominantly traveling. Well, the truth is I can't exactly do that, not because I'm not that wealthy yet, but yet, positive thinking, but also because I am a full-time student at the moment. So essentially what I plan to do, and I've said this I think a couple of times, is to sort of balance the whole traveling thing with blogs. If you have not read my blogs, I will put the link in the description box. Go ahead, read them, see what they're all about. And at the same time, I will be sort of explaining, talking about my blogs, giving perspectives, because I've seen that when I write, a lot of things are misconstrued. So it requires that sometimes I have to explain, and I think what better way to explain than on this channel. So that's what we'll be doing for most of the times when I'm not traveling. Hopefully I'll get to go somewhere between now and December vacation. I don't know, but we will see. Moving on to the truth about law school. So I am obviously going to give a disclaimer that this is my story, this is my perspective. These are the 3 or 4 main tips that I'm going to give. I didn't write them down, so if I forget, don't come at me. But it's just been a personal experience. Everyone's experience is different. That's the first disclaimer. The second disclaimer is that I believe that every, if not most, university degrees are difficult, and that is why people make such a big fuss about graduating. It's not easy. So whatever path you decide to take, my English, it just always disappoints, right? Okay, whatever path you decide to take, just remember that you're still going to need to apply some basic principles like hard work to it, right? But these are some tips that I hope help you in deciding to go through university. So for those that are deciding, this video is for you. For those that have gone through it, congratulations. And for the crew that are in it now, we are going to make it through. Hey, bars on bars. I didn't practice that though. For the crew, right now, we're going to make it through. Yes. So, okay, so some top tips for those who are contemplating on going into law school. And this may also help people who are in law school as well. I am in my final year. Yes, graduation coming soon. And it's been a wonderfully stressful experience. That's the best way to describe it, in a very paradoxical manner, right? It's been ups and downs, roller coaster to say the least, but I've still thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the law, I love analyzing it, all of that stuff. But there's some important things that have made the process just a bit easier, and hopefully will make it easier for you. The first thing is research. Know where you want to practice the law and what type of law you want to practice. Now, this may seem obvious, but not all countries have the same law. Now, this is an obvious statement, but this is not what I mean in that sense. I mean, do the research into finding out, is it a common law jurisdiction or is it a civil law jurisdiction? Is it a mixed tradition, for example, or do they apply more of their custom? What do they do? How do they do it? Do they have civil codes? Do they not write down their laws? All of these things, take them into account when you are about to practice, when you're thinking or contemplating on studying law. Now, why is this important? Firstly, because when we look on TV, what we see in things like Suits, for example, is people in courtrooms, really being eloquent before the judge, making their case, and it seems like that's what all jurisdictions do. But it's not the case. That is more so in common law jurisdictions or jurisdictions that have common law influence, right? These are called adversarial jurisdictions. Now, I don't want to get too technical, but the point is that that happens mainly in the US, okay? Where you go before a judge and you're really like savvy and you're really in your courtroom attire, you're killing it, saying all these smart things, using alliteration, all of the fancy things that we think come with being a lawyer automatically or when we study law, but that's not the case. If you did it in Europe, for example, it's very different. It's more about the judge, okay? The lawyer is not as, I would say, you're still an important factor, but it's very different from what you see on TV. So that's firstly why you need to do your research and decide where you're going to practice the law, because it's not going to be like what you see on TV. It's very, very different. I think that's it for the first point. Do your research, and it has to be very comprehensive. It will help you. But I want to add something of my personal experience. The other thing that you also need to distinguish is whether or not you want to do a national law or more of an international comparative/European law like I'm doing, right? Where I'm not focusing on one country's law, but instead it's a comparative study of different jurisdictions. Now, doing a national law is always good because at least you work, then you're registered to a bar, you sort of have a backup plan. But doing what I'm sort of doing would imply that you need to do a lot more research. If you then decide to practice law, you have to go through certain things, conversion exams, etc., all this complex stuff. But I've done my research and I understand sort of the direction that I want to go with my law degree program. Understand also when you research whether it's qualifying or non-qualifying law degree. These things are important to keep in mind. But yeah, either way, law is an amazing degree program to choose, and if you're about to choose it, I'm with you. Like, all the support goes to you. Okay, the second point is, I've heard people say, or at least if you're a parent watching this, I doubt that parents watch this channel, but if you're a parent watching this, I've heard a lot of other parents say, yeah, he likes arguing, I think you should be a lawyer. Yeah, it could be said in a joking manner, but someone then takes that and says, okay, I think I'm good enough to be a lawyer. Now, the question is, will you be a good lawyer because you know how to argue? Yes, probably. Will that help you through law school? Maybe not. Now, what do I mean? Law school is the messy part of at least your journey to being a lawyer. It's the part when you do a lot more than arguing. I'd say that at least 40% or even maybe 30% of law school is doing presentations, pleading, learning how to plead, public speaking. I'd say 30%. It's important. It's an important legal skill that you learn. But what's really important is legal skills like understanding where to find the law, understanding how to analyze that law, understanding how to write that law really well into things like memorials that you give before a court and everything like that. And I say this linked to the first point because in some jurisdictions, your pleading, yes, will be essential, but it may not be as predominant as, for example, if you're going to be a lawyer in the US, where you need to have this charismatic thing going on. So make sure you understand that the important part is really in knowing how to read, knowing how to research, understanding how to write. Now, what better experience do you have in your way of doing this than how you performed in high school? Now, high school is not a reflection of how well you do in university, and I don't want to make it seem like that, but it gives you sort of insight into how or how well you deal with law school. Law school is all about this, baby. It's all about reading. All about reading. Now, of course, universities work in a different way. So I'm going to say how the reading process works for us and how much reading is actually involved, right? We have a system where we don't write exams at the end of the semester, but instead at the end of every 7 weeks. So that means every 7 weeks there is a new course or 2 new courses that you're taking on. That means every 7 weeks you're writing exams. Every 7 weeks is the stress of your life. You don't really get time to breathe, or play during a semester, so to speak, right? That also entails that in those 7 weeks, you have at least 2 to 3 tutorials in which you're expected to prepare. So we have smaller group settings. Lectures are important, but they act more as summaries. But a lot of the work is done in tutorials. So in these tutorials, you have in these 7 weeks, each week to prepare some readings and some homework, so to speak, right? And I'd say on average, a tutorial, if it's really nice, will give you at least 50 pages to read per tutorial, and you have 3 courses, 3 tutorials. So on average, you could have 150 pages to read each week. But of course, as you go through 2nd and 3rd year, this increases to at least 100 pages per tutorial. Now I'm talking about textbook, right? There is, in addition to this, case law. Now, if you know case law and you've read through case law, you know that a case is at least 50 pages long. A nice case. Other cases, you're lucky, depending on the court, 15 pages, sometimes even less. But if you are going to do this through due diligence, no pun intended, law students, yes, even the law school process requires due diligence, you have to ensure that you understand how to read. It's not just about loving reading, but reading smart, okay? Understand what works for me. Is it better when I go to the library? Is it better when I'm alone? Is it better when whatever, with friends? How do I retain the information? How do I write the notes? All of these things are important, but it is not an exaggeration when they say that law school is a lot to read. Now, I said the number of these pages not to scare anyone, but like I said, the title of this video is The Truth About Law School. My experience has been a lot of reading, always reading. When I get free time, I'm reading. There's no such thing as a free day because you will always have something that you're meant to be reading. So that's that out of the way. And it brings me to the third point, which is that you need to be organized. Now, organized not just in terms of your calendar, but organized in how you study for your exams as well. Because it's a lot of content, you need to just be someone who understands, or you need to be prepared to be someone who understands that it's not really about how hard you work, but how smart you work, right? So you have all this information, you have things that you need to memorize, cram for the exam, retain the information because you're going to need to use it next time. So just be super organized. And I think I'd love to do a video in which I sort of, vlog and take you on a day with me through law school. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. It would be really hard to do as well because, sometimes I'm just like on the go, but I would really try to show you how I sort of try to organize myself. Now, I'm not claiming to be the most organized person because I am not. Sometimes things go wrong, but I do try my best, and I'd love to share that with people who are in law school now, if you're interested, as well as people who are contemplating getting into it. So organization is the third thing. The fourth thing to... Okay, I need time. Which is very relevant for this next part. The fourth thing to take into account is language. Now, you may think you know how to speak whatever language you're going to study law in, but trust me, legal language is so different from the day-to-day language. I thought I knew how to at least speak basic English, having done Cambridge, having at least most Zimbabweans can be considered to be really good in English, right? At least not, native speaker almost level, because Zimsec, Cambridge, we all do it, and I think we have a very good demand of English generally. But legal language is very different. There's a lot of terminology, so you have to be prepared for this. But it's possible to do. It's just important that you know that the language is different. Even for you who is an A2 speaker, you've been speaking English your whole life, you will read some articles and trust me, you will question your own level of just language. So that's why in law school you find that even when someone is doing Dutch law, you think, okay, you're a Dutch speaker, you're a native speaker, they're still struggling because the Dutch terminology that's used in the legal textbooks and the legal language is very different from everyday speaking. So keep that in mind as well when you're choosing to do law school. And I think those are the 4 main points that I wanted to highlight. But I want to say that a lot of the things that I've said apply to every degree program, no matter what you're doing. Research, understand what's demanded of you, understand also to differentiate from some myths that are said about that degree program, and essentially just do your research. I think the best research you can do is asking people who are in the field of law, as well as people who are actually studying it as well. So I hope this video has been super helpful. Let me know in the comment section if you're interested in me vlogging a day-to-day life. I probably will. But also let me know how you deal with your own sort of program, how you've mapped it out, what key things are happening. Now, the final thing is what's going to happen in the next couple of videos. The next couple of videos, I am planning to at least finally get into my blogs, get into talking about some of the societal issues that I've touched upon, some more controversial than others. I'm excited about that, and of course I hope to be vlogging some of my days in uni with you guys. It's my final year, so I think I should at least make a record of what I was doing during this year and things that I enjoy doing. My life is not that fun. It's not as creative as others, but maybe sometimes I'll take you guys to the gym, take you guys when I'm reading, take you guys to a tutorial. I teach as well, maybe take there, but we'll see how it goes. But at the end of the day, and I think because it was also Mental Health Awareness Day about like 2 days ago, I would say always keep your mind in check. I find that it's okay to complain, it's okay to cry. In university, all you guys ever talk about is how stressed you are. That's fine, but always make sure that your mental state is in check. Like for me, I know I'm stressed, I can't do this. I call Ellen, we cry together, we laugh and cry, we do just really, weird things, and we're like having breakdowns. But then the important thing is like, how is our mind? My mind is always like, yes, I'm going through a difficult period now. Yes, it's okay to cry, but at the end of the day, positive up here. We started this process, we're going to finish it. So I think that applies to everyone in university. Make sure this is good. I understand that what you say also is very important and brings back that energy back to you, but always remember your mind is important. And remember that you can do it. You can do it. Law is not for a certain type of person or a certain type just because you argue you can. It's not true. I've seen so many people who are able to argue and this, but what's coming out is not really tangible information. And I've seen quiet people who are brilliant at research, at writing, at bringing forth good legal arguments. So at the same time, there is no one person for one degree program. Of course, some things require more technical things, but I think law school, if you're able to put the hard work in, and if you're just ready to be organized, ready to sort of take it as it comes, I think you'll be okay. So that's just what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope this video has been helpful. This has been Ga's Session in Motion. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.